Hi, YouTube friends. It's Laura. I need you to go grab a cup of coffee or just a nice little beverage or a little snack or a treat or something to enjoy while I tell you this incredibly long story. It is a very sordid tale about the United States Postal Service. This, it's such a doozy. It's so ridiculous. I've been talking about this for a long time, but I finally have resolution to like act one of the saga. I still have to actually get this package to the buyer, but let's get into this. Hmm. So this all starts way back in September. Today is November 3rd. This starts back in September, first or second week of September. I was on vacation and someone messaged me about a pair of pants in my Etsy shop asking me to just let them know when I'm back and can ship the item so that they can purchase these pants. Fantastic. I pretty much, and the poor woman messaged me like the first day of my week-long vacation. I messaged her when I came back, immediately purchases these pants. They're headed off to the United Kingdom. That was on Monday, September 16th. I got those. That was when the order was placed. I shipped them out Tuesday, September 17th. Okay. I get a message from this woman. Let me see. Oh my gosh, the scrolling is ridiculous. I pulled up her message history before I started this video, and I had to scroll anyway, very far back. Let's see. October 1st, I get a message from this buyer saying, hey, these pants have been with your mail carrier for quite a while. Can you check on them for me? Now, this is a thing that can happen for a lot of us with the United States Postal Service. You'll get a request from a customer because something's kind of like stuck in the United States Postal Service system. I'm just going to call them USPS from now on instead of saying all those words every single time. Okay. So I get requests like this all the time. And the first thing that I will do is obviously go look at the tracking. But when I see that it's stuck in the system, right, it's just kind of hanging out somewhere, there hasn't been any movement, or sometimes, like in this case, it's bouncing between two locations inexplicably, less common. The first thing I do is I go through the USPS app, website, whatever, and I request updates to the tracking by text or email. So all I do, you click a bunch of buttons, it tells you what kind of updates you want. I just select all of them. I put in my phone number, and now I'm going to get text updates for tracking. Now, I don't know why this works a lot of the time, but it does. It's kind of like the system recognizes, hey, we need to give a status on this package. And they're like, wait a second, where'd that package go? And then they find it and they move it somehow. I don't know, whatever. Sometimes it works. Okay. In this case, didn't work. So I reached out to her. I said, oh my gosh, that looks really weird. The package had been going back and forth between two locations in California. Now, this was extra weird because I live in New Jersey and I was shipping this package to New York. So I don't know why it was in California. And if I go back to my tracking, let's see. So in New Jersey, the 17th goes to our regional center on the 18th. September 20th is in San Francisco. You'll pardon me if I'm looking over here for part of this video. I'm sorry. I don't have all the technical, like I can't do the green screen shit and whatever. I'll get there someday. I'm not there. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, September 20th, San Francisco. September 20th, Sacramento. September 21st, Sacramento, Sacramento, San Francisco, San Francisco, Sacramento, back and forth between these two. This continues until, let's see. So starting, what did I say? Starting September 20th, continuing until October 9th. Okay, that's a long time. So obviously the first thing I did, request the text updates, doesn't work. Then the next thing that I think I did was I went online and I filed a missing mail search request. So you go in, you fill out a whole bunch of information. It is very annoying. I will also insert here that when I talk about all of these processes, you're going to see they're very tedious. You have to kind of know some stuff. I will never, ever put this off on my buyer. I will never be the seller that tells a buyer, go in and submit a request for this. Let me put a caveat on that. I might do that if the package has already been marked as delivered. But I know that I have a lot more knowledge about how all this crap works than my buyers do. So usually I try to go ahead and do a lot of these requests, like missing mail requests and things. So also often I have more of the information than the buyer does. So I go into the mail search request. I have to put in my name and address, the name and address of the place where the package is being shipped. And then also, usually they want like a description of what you are shipping, what the item has been. Because, of course, if there was some sort of damage and the item was ripped apart by hyenas or something, I don't know, then they're going to go, oh, this is that pair of pants that got ripped apart by hyenas that we don't have a shipping label for anymore, presumably. So I go in, I fill out all that information. Then I don't remember how many days later, but within a pretty timely manner, I get an actual phone call from Smithtown, New York, which is where the package was supposed to be going, which I think is weird. Why are you having New York call me when we can all see that the package is in California? But, they have their process, I guess. So Vinny from Smithtown calls me, super helpful. He is able to look up all sorts of stuff. Now, one of the first things I'll say is that he told me that when packages get shipped around the country, they will be, your individual package gets scanned in at the post office. Then it gets sent to like a regional center. And I assume there, but at some point, the packages aren't just all like loosey-goosey running through the United States. They are put into giant shipping containers. And then each of those shipping containers is assigned a barcode. And that barcode will have like an inventory or a manifest of all of the individual packages that are included within that shipping container. Makes total sense. Very similar to us printing out a scan form when we bring a large amount of packages to the post office, right? So he said, probably a shipping container got like misdirected and, but we have to see what's going on because it's bouncing back and forth and that's weird. So he does some research. They are able to also see actual photographs of the packages being scanned. And from what I gather, it seems like every time that the individual package is scanned by a machine, there's a photograph record of it, which seems insane that they're able to store this much information, but they apparently can. And so Vinny is telling me, I should mention in here as well, that at some point in all of the bouncing around California, let's see, there was a day that it was actually being marked as out for delivery. I think they deleted this from the tracking, actually. It was being like, it was out for delivery. I'm like, how can it be out for delivery in California? That makes no sense. And then it was not delivered due to quote unquote animal interference. And I was like, I don't like that, which may be where my hyena joke came from, but animal interference. Presumably that would normally be like, I tried to deliver the package, but your chihuahua was trying to murder me. And so I couldn't get to your door. So I still have it. Sorry, I'll try again tomorrow. I assume that's what animal interference would normally be. Maybe sometimes it's a bear. Maybe sometimes it's a herd of cattle blocking a roadway. I don't know. There's a category called animal interference. So there you are. Anyway, so could not be delivered due to animal interference. I think that happened before I was speaking to Smithtown, Long Island, Smithtown, New York. And anyway, so Vinny's telling me they can see these photographs of the packages and that it seems that he was saying something about there being 2 shipping labels or 2 addresses associated with my package. I was like, what do you mean? So he said, well, there's like 2 different tracking numbers and 2 different addresses. One of those addresses was, you can probably guess this, in California. So I said, I don't know how. I said, I put one label on my shipping package. And then naturally, after I got off the phone with Vinny, did I panic and go to all of my platforms and see if I also happened to have a package that was going to California that day? Yes, I did. I checked all that. I did not have anything going to California. He gave me the actual address and I looked. I had nothing going there. So I did not accidentally put 2 labels on a package, but you better believe I thought for a minute that maybe I had. Anyway, so at one point he told me there was 2 labels. At another point he said, yeah, it looks like 2 packages are stuck together. And that kind of makes sense to me, at least as far as like, how would my little New York package make its way to California? What I don't understand is how the tracking numbers, how my New York tracking number would be updating as being out for delivery in California, etc. I don't really ever get an explanation for how that works, which is fine. I'm sure it's like way above anything that they think I need to know. I'm just nosy, right? Anyway, so Vinny's going to look into it a little bit more. He's going to have to reach out to California, see what's what, right? So that was maybe a Thursday or a Friday, I forget. By Monday, I hadn't heard back. Now, in the meantime, my buyer, absolutely fucking delightful. This woman was so nice. She's so patient. She's being playful. She's like, wow, this is a saga. We should write a Broadway play about this. Like she's being an absolute gem about this whole situation. So I'm keeping her updated. I haven't heard anything as of Monday. Of course, she's being very lovely, but I'm panicking that, of course, she's going to be mad any minute now because normal people would get mad at this. So I call Smithtown again. Don't get Vinny, but I get a gentleman named Connor. You don't need to know about Vinny and Connor, but shout out. So Connor had to look into some stuff and get back to me. I don't remember. Connor ended up calling me back, gave me way more information. Which honestly, I can't remember what it was, but I felt like he was getting the situation handled and the package was coming back. And for a second and a half, it seemed like maybe it was, right? So it is worth noting that when the package shipped from here, from New Jersey, it went right to California, right? New Jersey directly to California. And that's very common. Like a lot of my California packages, they don't have multiple stops along the way. They're just there, okay? However, as the package was being returned, which by the way, it was being returned to sender, which I also did not like, because when packages get returned to sender, in my experience, it takes a really long time. I've had some just sort of randomly show up at my house like 3 months later. So they don't seem to be prioritized in the same way. And I did clarify with Connor, I was like, I see that it's saying return to sender, but like, is this going to take months? And he's like, no, it should be quick. Okay, I'm going to trust the process. Anyway, so return to sender is processed on October 8th. Then it goes back a couple times and still bouncing around California. October 10th, it arrives at the regional facility in Dallas, Texas. And I was like, why are we in Texas? But let's keep trusting the process. Let's give this a shot. Let's see what happens. I'm going to have faith, which I should not. Then the next scan is October 11th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It is also worth mentioning that there had just been 2 major destructive hurricane events in that region. Maybe not Louisiana specifically, but like North Carolina, Florida, like bad. I'm sure you've all heard news about the North Carolina stuff. Horrific. I don't know why we're even anywhere near there. Why are you in Louisiana when there's just been 2 hurricanes and you're coming? It doesn't make any sense. So now I'm getting extra nervous. Okay. But nevertheless, it eventually makes its way to Kearney, New Jersey on October 16th. Oh, we're in New Jersey. Okay. I messaged my buyer. I'm like, Sandra, we're in New Jersey. It's looking good. Okay. I didn't message her too quick because I'm also not super confident because things have seemed like they were moving multiple times at this point. Anyway, October 16th, Kearney, New Jersey. As an aside, probably not a place that anyone wants to spend a whole bunch of time, Kearney. So the next scan, October 16th, Kearney. October 22nd, still nothing. Kearney is a 20-minute drive from my house. I literally go pick this package up at this point in less than an hour. October 22nd, 8 days later, nothing. So I opened a second missing mail search request, which this is insane, but fine. I opened the second request. This time when I open the request, I do get an email confirmation, just like I did the first time. This time though, my text message tracking, which by the way, I've continued to like request tracking updates constantly, hoping it will shake something loose. It generally did not. But the missing mail search request came up in the tracking. And that did not happen the first time. And that also made me nervous. And so also my buyer, who is now, I've at some point given her a link to the tracking. She checks the tracking on occasion. She's like, oh, I see that you opened missing mail request. I was like, yeah, because it hasn't moved in 8 days. So I'm trying to like force their hand here a little bit. So let me see. Missing mail request, October 22nd. Nothing. At some point, I go to my very delightful local post office woman, Esther. The most massive shout out to Esther because she's a fucking angel and she does her job well. Esther, what can I do about this? Now, people at your actual local post office, they can't see all this crazy shit with like the photos that are attached to scans. So don't expect that of them. They don't have that capability. I mean, maybe my post office does not. Maybe if you live in an area where your post office is much more major, the one I go to is very tiny. It's Esther. She's the person in the post office. But as far as I know, they don't have these capabilities. I think it's like a regional thing, maybe a supervisory thing. So she just basically gives me a phone number, says, try to call this place and, call this number. And it was the Consumer Affairs Division, which honestly, I felt like I was being punked. I'm like, Consumer Affairs, but okay. So I had called a regular number. Whoever I spoke with escalated because the missing mail request had been closed out also as being returned to sender. It was just very like not a satisfactory answer. And I think once they closed it out, still several days had gone by with no movement. Again, 20 minutes away. So when I called the 800 number, that representative said, I'm gonna reopen this request and escalate it for you. And I actually got a call back from Corrine, another shout out. Corrine was fantastic. So she said some weird stuff about like, I'm gonna change the zip code on your package and make sure that it gets to the right zip code. And I was like, I'm really sorry to state what seems to be a super obvious question, but when you say the zip code, you do mean the whole address, right? Because I want to, like, she's like, no, I just have to change the zip code. Once it gets to the correct whatever, they'll get it to you. And I'm like, okay. Again, I've had stories of like double labels. Like she's seeing something else on there as well. Which again, I don't understand, but there's something in the system that is connecting these two different tracking numbers, shipping labels, whatever it is. There's like linked. Okay. So finally she says, I'm going to get this to you, whatever, fine. A day or two goes by. She calls me again and said, I basically changed the zip code for you. I think she had to try it a second time or try again in a different way, something, because she called and left me a voicemail message that she did it and I should be getting the package back. And finally, on November 2nd, here it is. And after all of that stupid drama, this is the only label that's on there. Return to sender, no such number, unable to forward, return to sender. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Anyway, so I've got these pants back. I have not even opened them up yet. So now in the meantime, what do I do with this? So when I shipped these pants, they're supposed to be going to London, not London, England. I'm American. I'm sorry. It's all London to me, right? Rizzo, can you not step on all my stuff? Of course, we have a Rizzo appearance, don't we? Yes. So I was shipping this via pirate ship. They have something called the simple export rate. If you are not familiar, it's just basically from the shipper's perspective, it's just cheaper. Okay. There's mechanics behind it that I don't understand. It doesn't really matter. I could ship this package directly to the United Kingdom through USPS, print a customs form, yada, yada. And I don't even remember anymore what that should cost. But I feel like it's like somewhere between $25 and $30 to do that for this. This is, how much did this weigh? This was 12 ounces. So it's expensive. Using Pirate Ship's simple export rate, this was $18, which included additional insurance that I purchased. The way that Pirate Ship's simple export works is I ship this to, for me, it's New York. They just give me a P.O. box in the United States. They have centers all over the place. Mine goes to New York, and from there, it goes probably into another shipping container and off to the UK, right? It's usually pretty quick, a week, max like 3 weeks. So I knew that I could not just have my post office print a new shipping label. So this, as you can see, I'm going to cover my address, but I mean, half the world has it anyway. USPS Ground Advantage, right? In a normal circumstance, if I was shipping this to somewhere in the United States and this bullshit happened, I could just take this package to Esther and say, hey, Esther, can you print me another label? And she would print me another label and I would not have to pay for it because none of this was my fault. None of this was my buyer's fault. This was all USPS. Okay. However, in this case, I know that my USPS label is also tied in Pirate Ship's system, or Ascendia probably is the company that does this, but it's linked in their system so that when they get this package in, they know that this is going to Sandra over in England. So I can't just willy-nilly print out some other label. So I was expecting there to be some crazy complicated process, and I had messaged Pirate Ship in advance saying like, hey, how do I handle this? And essentially they were like, well, what does it say on the package? And I'm like, so I don't have it back yet because I'm trying to get ahead of this. And they basically said, call us when you get the package. So I did. And literally they just issued me a credit for the entire shipping purchase price and said, okay, buy a new label. And I was like, oh, obviously, why would I not have just done that? But so I'm opening this now. I just want to make sure that the pants are alive and well, just for record, for having bounced all over the entire freaking country. This package is obviously a little bit beat up. I've gotten packages of my own back before, and this is pretty beat up. This usually does not have, I don't even usually see like this scratchy stuff, let alone like here you can see there's a little hole and everything. Now, fortunately, as we all know, maybe if you've watched my stuff before, I double bag things because I'm paranoid. So double bagged. And I told Sandra that I would make sure that everything was okay. I said, I'm going to send her a photo of proof of life, which I will do. But I waited until I was on camera with you to open it, which I'm sure you appreciate because how could you have missed out on that, right? That's primo content for you right there. Anyway, here's the pants. So, but as we all know now, I still have to get these to the UK. I'm pretty sure that Sandra and I are both a little bit terrified about how this is going to go. I am impressed and grateful that this woman still wants these pants after almost 2 months. It's crazy. A month and a half, I guess. We'll be more honest about that. But I'm going to ship these off tomorrow. Be in constant contact with my delightful buyer. Of course, I'll update her with the shipping information. So when I reship these, what I am going to have to do is I'm going to get the tracking number, and I'm going to have to go back into Etsy and update my order with new tracking information. I do suspect that this will now consider that package as having been shipped late because I am updating tracking information again. It's one package out of however many, whatever, it's fine. I'll deal with it. If it won't let me do that, I'll obviously just she's clearly not a problematic person. She's a very lovely woman. And I think if I just sent her the tracking number in messages, that would be fine. But I always like to do things kind of by the book. Theoretically, if she wanted to be a problem and I did not update the tracking appropriately in the order, she may be able to come back later and say, hey, I never got this. And Etsy would be like, oh, yeah, look at that. You never got it. And they would refund her. So, I don't think that she would do that at all, but I'm still going to try and do things properly. So that's what I have to do next. So that is my story about the United States Postal Service. I learned about all the delightful photos that they can see. I learned that there are actually customer service people who can help you. And I have to say that when Corrine, who was the consumer affairs woman who contacted me, she responded to me in email at one point and had her actual direct line phone number, which when I called again, it worked and went right to her, which is crazy town. That doesn't happen anymore. And she was really nice. And obviously she helped me. So that was all nice. But I learned about the photos. I learned about the giant shipping containers shipping all over the country with barcodes on them. Makes so much sense. There's a lot of things that are still a mystery that I don't think I'll ever understand. And I do feel like so much of this proves that a lot of the Postal Service functions are very automated, because how could a package just be bouncing back and forth for literal weeks between two regional centers, if there were actual people involved in looking at this stuff? Another thing, though, that one of the Smithtown guys did tell me is that when things are jumping around that much in tracking, it should be sort of flagging on a report. When tracking numbers get beyond a certain number of scans, I imagine, it should pull up on a report and flag somehow. I don't know if that wasn't happening for any reason, or maybe it was happening and being ignored. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting as well. So, and of course, that'll make sense that there are reports and things that get generated all the time to, you know, make sure that they can calculate whether or not they're meeting their own standards and obviously prove to whoever that they're meeting their own standards and things like that. But that's the little saga of these cute little pants and my friend Sandra in the UK. So I hope you found that interesting. Yeah, it was definitely a big learning experience for me. I've had similar learning experiences before, but that's also one of the reasons why when a buyer has an issue with a package, I just go ahead and handle it because I keep having these experiences over many years. I know better than the buyer does how things work and who to push buttons with and, you know, weird things like that. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it informative or interesting, or that you just like staring at my Bozo the Clown hair. I know it's very big today, okay? I curled it. This is the first day after the curling. It's always a little nuts. But I have a video to publish tomorrow, so there we go. Thank you so much. I will see you again soon.